try it now, if that's okay. As Alan said, I used to work for the Labour Party as a full-time official. What he didn't tell you was that I then went on to start the Stand Comedy Club, which is down in York Place in the city centre. Some people have remarked, of course, that wasn't too much of a change of career, moving from organising one bunch of comedians to another. But I've enjoyed that very much. And for the last, in fact, the last 12 years, I've not been involved in politics at all, and I'm still not a member of any political party. I only ever was a member of the Labour Party for a long time in my youth. But over the last few years, I've become incredibly energised, as people have talked about, by what's happening in this country now and the opportunities that the vote on the 18th of September gives us. And I think Mr. Collins said that, and I agree with him, that for me, this begins and ends with whether or not the future of Scotland should be determined by the people who live here. And that is a simple democratic proposition, not a nationalist one. And the rest is detail, really. If you answer yes to that question, then you have to be on this side of the debate, and you have to begin to move towards a new country on the 18th of September. I'm not a nationalist, and as I said, I'm not a member of any political party. You'll probably tell by the accent I'm not even Scottish, but I've chosen to make my home here, and I will die here, and therefore I want my say in what happens to this country. And I think that as we go towards September, we can build a majority view for that proposition. Now, I want to do that, as other members of the panel do, not just for the sake of doing it. I want to do it because by having independence, we can change things. I am sick to the back teeth of living in a country where every year that goes by, more and more people become billionaires, while more and more people queue up at food banks. It's disgusting, the inequality in this society. And I've campaigned against it all of my life, and got hardly anywhere, to be honest with you. And the reason why I'm embracing this campaign, why I would urge you to vote yes in September, is because this offers us the chance to make those changes that many people in this country, in this community, have dreamt about for decades and generations. We can actually make it happen, because it's so much more easy to change a country of 5.5 million people and then link up with other countries to change the world than it is to be a small part of a much bigger state with the ingrained vested power systems that the United Kingdom has. So we get the chance to break the mold and to do something new. But there are a lot of people not convinced about that. The opinion polls say that a majority of people will not support that argument. And I think we need to tackle some of the opposition that's being presented to that case. And this is a Labour voting area. This is an area which holds social democratic values. And the votes of people in this area are absolutely critical to the outcome of the debate on Scottish independence. Really, it will be whether or not Labour voters decide to back this case who will decide the outcome. And I think they should do it. But the arguments put against us by the No campaign that says, well, don't do that because we're all working class people together. The people that live in Musselburgh have got more in common with the people that live in Liverpool and ordinary working class people in Birmingham and Manchester than they have with the toffs and layers that run and own this country. And they say that the corollary of that is you shouldn't vote for independence, you must stay and work within the political structures of the United Kingdom. And in fact, some of them go so far as to say that if Scotland goes independent, then it betrays working class people in England forever to a Tory-dominated future and the misery that that would bring with it. And they try and guilt-trip people into saying, oh, we must reject the proposal for independence on that basis. Well, that's not true, I tell you. That's not true at all. The first reason why it's not true is because the facts aren't even there. Labour has won 3 out of the last 4 general elections in the United Kingdom, and the size of its majority has been considerably greater in every case than the number of Scottish Labour MPs. In other words, it is perfectly possible for the Labour Party, if it wants to win a majority opinion in England and Wales and form a government in Westminster without the votes of Scots. So it's up to the good people of England and Wales to decide their future in the same way as it's up to us to decide their future. But the second thing to say is that you don't just get working class solidarity by staying as part of the United Kingdom. We can still have solidarity with working class communities as an independent country. In fact, I would go so far as to say we can do an awful lot better at advancing the rights of people throughout the British Isles, throughout Europe, and throughout the world if we were an independent social democratic country rather than as being part of the conservative state that the United Kingdom has become. And you can have a bizarre situation, my friends, where in the future, this future, you get a situation where Scotland, as a member of the European community, is arguing for legislation to improve the rights of workers in the workplace and of communities in the ground across Europe against the opposition of the government in the rest of Britain, which doesn't want those things to happen. And so our actions as an independent country can improve things, because the truth is, you can never accept perhaps North Korea, which does its best to try, but you can never really be a totally independent country. Countries are interdependent, and what the Yes vote is about is Scotland being able to be a full partner with other countries in the world, being able to step up to the plate and play its role. So it's not a nationalist proposition, it's actually an internationalist proposition. And that would be the reason why I would support it. There's other people talk about separation as well, as if we're going to get, cannibals out of Hadrian's Wall and try and float Scotland off into the North Sea. That's not going to happen. There's not going to be separation. We're going to stay in exactly the same landmass as we are at the moment. I have friends in London, I have relatives in Hull. They're still going to be my friends in London and relatives in Hull on the 19th of September. Of course they are. In fact, you can argue that independence will bring the peoples of these islands closer together, because it will be a more respectful, a more mutual relationship that they will have with each other, and the way in which we engage with the government of the rest of the United Kingdom in order for doing many things we will need to do on a British-wide manner is going to be much better than this at the moment. And two things will happen, I think, with independence. One, that big chip on the Scottish shoulder, where we look over and we think, oh, it's all the fault of the English, or it's all the fault of somebody else. That will go, because there's nowhere to hide independence. It becomes your own responsibility. It means you take your chances, you make mistakes, you learn your lessons, and you grow up as a people, you grow up as a country. And the other thing that will happen is all those Daily Mail readers in the southeast of England who think we're all subsidy junkies, and we only have better public services and higher public spending here because they are paying for it in the southeast of England. Well, that will disappear too. And you can actually shake hands across the border as partners, as with mutual respect, and have a much better governance of these islands. So what the vote's really about as well is not just Scottish independence, but a fundamental reform of the United Kingdom and how these islands are governed. And that will be to the benefit not just of the people of Scotland, but to the people who live in England as well. Finally, I'd say that, it's only 4 months tomorrow, this vote, 4 months tomorrow. And it starts at 7 a.m. in the morning and finishes at 10 p.m. And in those 15 hours, the future of the country will lie in the hands of the people. And they will have a choice whether to hold on to it or whether to give it away. And I sincerely hope that between then and now we can build a big campaign. It's already big, as Colin said, but we can make it much bigger still. And we can get the self-confidence and the self-belief to vote yes and make sure we keep the power for the future.